All right, good afternoon, YWCA viewers. My name is Kayla Leader, and this is Series 2, Episode 16 of The Butterfly Effect, sponsored by Pursuit. Pursuit provides businesses with affordable loans and resources so that they can transform and grow. They're an Albany-based, community-focused lender, 100% invested in the success of their clients. If you are a small business owner looking for funds to start, grow, or recover, you can learn more at www.pursuitlending.com. The Butterfly Effect is an empowerment series where volunteer hosts interview inspiring women in our community. Here to talk with us today is Sarah Beach, who is the co-founder of Murray's Fools Distilling Company, a craft distillery located in upstate New York. So welcome, Sarah. For those of you who may not know, because I did not know, approximately 1% of the United States distillery owners are women, and 20% of those are in the state of New York. Armed with a dream, a 15-year marketing career, great determination, and the courage to act, Sarah built a brand that has consistently grown and expanded. Since its inception in 2015, Sarah and her husband, Randall, have literally built Murray's Fools from the ground up. Sarah participates in all aspects of the business, from mashing, distilling, bottling, sales, packaging design, and event management. In 2018, she researched, developed, and created the recipe for the company's award-winning Osprey Aquavit. Sarah believes that there is always something more to learn. She has recently completed her second certified mixologist program and is currently pursuing an MBA at Clarkson University. And if that isn't enough, in addition to managing the distillery, Sarah also works at Union College in Schenectady, New York. So welcome, Sarah. So why don't we get started by you telling us a little bit more about yourself other than what I had just stated.
Okay, that was definitely a lot. And thank you so much. I'm really excited to be part of this series. I've been following it, and it's a pretty exciting series. I love it. The first thing I would like to do is, since it's Veterans Day, I would like to say thank you to the veterans. Thank you to all their sacrifices and their courage and their valor. And thank you for serving our country, continuing to serve our country, one that's very complex, and one that I'm proud to call home. So so as far as myself, I grew up in the South, in North Carolina. Then my family moved to New Zealand when I was a freshman in high school. A very unhappy freshman in high school to have to move to the other side of the world, but I eventually got used to it. So I lived there for 11 years and moved back to the US in my mid-20s, and realized right away that I needed to get education to get the jobs that I wanted. So I immediately enrolled in I moved back to upstate New York and immediately enrolled in Clinton Community College program, and then went on to SUNY Plattsburgh and earned my bachelor's degree in marketing and a minor in graphic design. So that kind of headed my career off in the direction of marketing, and I was spent about 15 years, I guess, as a director of marketing, mostly the majority in telecommunications. And then I founded Murray's Fools Distilling with my husband. In 2015, we put in our license for our federal license and then our state license, and actually bottled our first bottle of vodka in August of 2016. And as you mentioned, I'm halfway, actually more than halfway through my MBA program. And yes, so I work Monday through Friday at Union, and then the distillery Friday through Sunday. So, yeah. And we have two boys. I have two stepsons. They are actually both adults now, and so unfortunately for me, but fortunate for them, they are on their own career paths, and one living in Boston and the other one is a sophomore in college. So that's a bit about me.
Awesome. Well, thank you for that. So while you were living in the South or even in New Zealand, was there anybody who inspired you when you were younger?
So there's been several people and many people in my life that have inspired me. Most of those people that I feel inspired by are those that have taken risks in their life, maybe given up a lot, made a lot of sacrifices and taken risks to do what they feel passionate about or to remove themselves from something that they don't currently like in their life. Taking this risk is very brave, and to take those risks and succeed is I've definitely been inspired. And one group, I call them a group, but they're not really a group, is my grandparents. They're no longer with us, but they gave up everything. They were living in New Jersey, and my grandmother recognized that my grandfather was very unhappy working for the company that he was working for. He felt a lot of the things that were happening were against his moral compass. So she said, let's just move away. So they moved from New Jersey in the 50s to right in the middle of the Adirondacks to an old, like, rundown home. Most of the most of the windows were broken, and they also had a young son, which was my dad. And but they did it, and they took the risk, and they gave up this for that, and they succeeded. They eventually started making their own crafts, started a craft store. Then they had somebody invest in them to start a second location in Pinehurst, North Carolina, which became huge. And eventually they were millionaires, and they just did very well for themselves, and they relied on each other. They worked well together, but they took that risk, and I think that's very inspiring.
Yeah, that's awesome. Who knows what they would do that. And so did you have any specific mentor, either, or do you have one now? Did you have one previously that kind of helped guide you on the path that you are on?
I think just like the people that inspired me, the same thing. I've had different mentors along the way as my life has changed and shifted. I've looked to different people. So I've really had too many to even mention one over another.
Yeah. So let's talk about how you go from marketing into creating this distilling company. How did you get there?
Yeah, we get asked this a lot. I get asked this a lot in particular. Why did you want to do this? And sometimes, I think well, I always say we, but I think if I had known how much more to it there was, I don't know if I ever would have just dove in. But I'm glad that I did. Very glad I did. So when we moved to Schenectady, we started a whiskey tasting club in our neighborhood to get to know our neighbors, which was great. And it's still, we took a break over COVID, but we still have the whiskey tasting club. And so, we really enjoy whiskey. Randall was making beer at the time too, so we're kind of like, I wonder if we could also make whiskey. Like, is that really possible? And then my brother, who was living in Hawaii, came to visit, and he was distilling there. And so he kind of showed us and talked to us about, this can really happen, and this is how it works, and, gave us some ideas. And we became more interested. And I said to Randall, why don't we just take the plunge and see if we really like it? Let's educate ourselves. I am a huge supporter of education, and let's educate ourselves and see if we like it. So we enrolled in a distilling class in Seattle.
Okay.
And it was a 5-day class. We learned regulation, law, marketing, clamps, hoses, machinery, bottling, boilers, blah, 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 all this stuff. 5 days, 8 to 5, pretty intense. And they taught us everything but how to distill. So that was something we had to learn on our own. But we were really glad we took the class. We came back. We were very inspired and said, yeah, let's do it. And that's kind of, and we always wanted to, most of us are creative. I'm extremely creative and like developing new things. And so it was something that we built together.
Very cool. That's awesome. And I touched on this a little bit when I was introducing you, but how does your identity as a woman play a role in the industry that you're currently in?
Right. So women are minorities in this industry, which is not surprising, I'm sure. Even though way back when women did a lot of the distilling way back then. So in 2020, just to give you an idea of the overall picture, in 2020, there were just over 2,000 distilleries, craft distilleries nationwide. And 140 of those are in New York State. New York State has opened itself up with great opportunities for craft beverage across the board, like beer, wine, mead, cider, spirits. They definitely have a great program for all of us to work together. So, having said that, New York is second to California in the number of distilleries. So California's first. New York is, a little further down from California, but still second to California. And then there's a big gap. So there's a lot of distilleries here. And as you mentioned in the beginning, 1% of the distillery owners are women. 20% of those are in New York State. So, and as I said, the women are a minority, both as owners and operators and producers. So, as a woman, I'm constantly seeking out other women in the industry, as they are also seeking out others too. So we tend to have a lot of groups. We serve as each other's source of information and support and encouragement, which I think is really important. And in fact, I'm a member of the Pink Boots Society, which is a group specific for women in fermented beverage. And so there is an upstate chapter too. So if there's women out there that are interested in being part of it, that are involved in any craft beverage, I mean, it can even be making the barrels too, labels, whatever, you're involved somehow with the industry. It's a great place to share and encourage each other. And then also, actually, at the American Distillers Institute conference this year, they had a whole session there that was specifically for women in the distilling industry. And I met so many wonderful people there, and just learned so much, and was happy to say that I had stuff to share too. So yeah, we're a minority, but we stick together and share and support.
That's great. Have you noticed an increase in women getting involved in this industry since stepping into it a couple of years ago?
Yes, absolutely. There definitely, there aren't as many owners, but that is increasing as well. I see a lot of husband-wife teams, and that was actually one of the discussions at the Distillers Conference is, yeah, we're a husband and wife team, but we are both very involved in everything across the board. And that's generally, in talking it to other women in the conference, that was the thing. And to try and get, when people are coming to the distillery and talking to you as a team, to make sure that, yes, me too. I'm not just the marketing, or I'm not just the design, or I'm not just the bookkeeper. I'm actually co-founder and a big part of this too. And I have to definitely give props to my husband, because he will definitely make sure that is seen. And he definitely pushes me forward and lets people know that we are a team, and this is, we're in it all together.
That's great. That's awesome. Is there anything that you want other women who may be listening to this today, is there anything you want them to know, whether it's about getting involved in distilling or just getting involved in any industry that women may be a minority in?
Sure. Like I said, I'm a big believer in education. There's so many opportunities out there, and all of those opportunities don't equal a huge financial. Some of them are a big financial investment, but some of them aren't. And there's a lot of opportunities out there, and I would just I'd like to say to other women, I say it to myself all the time, invest in yourself and invest in you because you're worth it. And the return on that investment is tremendous. And so for me, my investment in myself is always learning and taking classes or taking advantage of any opportunity that I can to learn. I think that learning equals growth and independence for women. And so I would say, yes, invest in yourself. Just going back to just on that note, the Pink Boots Society actually has scholarships. If there are women that are interested in craft beverage industry, there, if you go to the Pink Boots Society site, women can apply for scholarships to get into the industry. In addition to that, I know locally for us in Schenectady, the SUNY Schenectady Community College, they have a program coming up again in the spring for both brewing and distilling. And they also have apprenticeship programs. So as if my company as Murray's Fools, which we are absolutely planning to do once we get settled in, become a sponsoring apprenticeship distillery, we can hire somebody and all of their education will be covered through the SUNY apprenticeship program. So I encourage anybody to please reach out to me, and if you're interested in the craft beverage, definitely reach out to me and I will point you in the right direction.
That's great. That's great information for anybody who's listening. So let me ask you this question. It's a little bit of a bizarre question. Is there any interview question that you have never been asked, but you think it should be asked? And what would the answer be?
So, so people ask me a lot about, just as a question in this interview, why did you get into it? But not a lot of people ask, well, what's your favorite thing about being in this industry or being in the working in the distillery? So I can tell you one thing that's not my favorite, and is the majority of the work is cleaning.
Okay.
So there's a lot of cleaning, a lot anyway. So, and I think that's across the board in craft beverage in general. But it's definitely worth it because the end result is so rewarding. Mm-hmm. But so my favorite thing is the opportunity for growth. And so, we started really small and just taking baby steps and just the two of us. But the room to grow in this industry is huge. And so, speaking of growth, I have the green light to announce that we are opening a second location in the Capital Region. So currently we are up north near the Plattsburgh area, almost in Canada. And we've been there for 6 years. And now we are on a growth path and we're opening a second location in Glenville.
That's awesome.
So we're very excited and excited to be in the community and to really participate in our community and really build on what we've already created. It's really exciting time for us.
That's awesome. Well, congratulations. I know personally I'll be looking forward to that. Are there any unique talents or skills that you have that don't relate to what you do, Monday through Friday or on the weekends?
That's hard to answer because I'm so focused on everything that I'm doing right now. I do enjoy, I don't know, I really am doing what I enjoy, so it's hard to say. I love the marketing and being creative and doing brand management and all of those things are really what excite me, creating things. So I feel like I am, that is me. And, I can't really think of anything that's outside of that, this is what I do. Yeah. When I have time, I like to design, but, but that's all part of it too.
Right.
Yeah. I'm doing what I love. So.
Good. Love that. So you talked about investing in yourself and taking risks. Is there any, or what is the best advice you have received from somebody else?
Okay, so yeah, and that follows along the line of education as well. So when I had just finished high school, I was in New Zealand at the time. I came to visit my grandparents, the grandparents that I mentioned before. Came back to the U.S. to visit them for a little bit after high school, and they took me to meet this woman. I think they were probably on a buying trip for some of their arts and crafts for their business. And we met with this woman, and she was just in. I was in awe of her. She was an artist, and boy, tough as could be too. She was a force to be reckoned with. But so she pulled me aside. I didn't want to go to school. I wanted to be an artist as well, and I didn't get into the college that I wanted to get into in New Zealand for art school. So I just said I don't want to do it. So she pulled me aside. Her name was Jean Hastings, and she was an art teacher, as well as many other things. And she pulled me aside and said, "Sarah, you need to continue your education. You really should continue your education." And as I mentioned before, she's the one that said to me, learn as much as possible, because women in education go places. Education equals growth and independence. So unfortunately, when I went back to New Zealand, I did not take this advice at first. It took me several years to realize the importance of it. When I moved back to the U.S., though, I definitely took her advice. I have to say, I wish I would have really listened to her earlier. But that was the best advice ever. Really, as I said before, invest in yourself, and education is one of the biggest places that you can do that. Definitely very important. You're worth it.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, I definitely am a true believer of knowledge is power. So I think that that's so great. Well, thank you. Is there anything else you want to tell our viewers today, or you want them to know about you or Murray's Fools Distilling before we conclude?
No, well, first of all, thank you so much again for inviting me to this series. As I said before, I really love the series. It's great. And if anybody wants to follow our progress in our move to our new location in Glenville, follow us on Facebook. We're on all kinds of social media, Facebook, Instagram, and our website, murraysfools.com. So if you're interested in seeing where we're going, when we're getting there, definitely follow us.
Awesome. I know I will. So thank you again. And thank you to the YWCA for hosting this episode. In closing, I want to remind our audience that we are currently accepting nominations for the 39th Annual Achievement Awards Luncheon, which is being held on March 24th, 2022 at Rivers Casino. Nomination forms can be found at the YWCA's website, www.ywca-neny.org, and applications must be submitted by November 24th. So thank you again, Sarah, and don't forget for our viewers to look out for more Butterfly Effect episodes next Tuesday and Thursday. Thank you, everybody, and have a nice day.